Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to look at the Bullitt crash helmet against the AGV X3000. These two are commonly the kind of go-to retro crash helmets for the modern classics. As you can see, they're both absolutely beautiful. The price point for both of them is very similar. It depends on the colour and other bits and bobs to what they are. This currently is about £250 online, whereas this AGV X3000 was £349 from a local garage. But if you look online, there are lots of different deals out there, especially at the minute with Black Friday. I've had the Bullitt for about 4 years, so I've got extensive experience as to what it's like to everyday use, and I'll get into it in a minute. The AGV I've got in the last week, so I've just started using it, but I've learned enough to know to talk about this for a review. Start off with the Bullitt. As you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful. The colours on it are fantastic. If you look inside, it's gorgeous with its red inside, and it's really soft material, absolutely excellent quality. And the visor kind of flips down shut. It shuts down at this little point here. There's a little magnet. That's a bit different to the AGV, which we'll get to in a second. The AGV clips down. Uh, in the 3 years I've had it, 3 or 4 years I've had it, I have found that the wind noise is quite bad on it. Compared to a modern sports bike crash helmet or general crash helmet, which is why I went for the AGV. It kind of catches the wind, and if you're on the motorway, it really gives you a bit of an earache. Earplugs in it, it's then fine, or you put AirPods or something like that. It does help. That said, it is still a great crash helmet. There are two versions of the Bullitt. You can also get a carbon version, and you can get a different visor. You can get a bubble visor. My partner uses that one, so I have one of them to hand, and it comes this really cool bag, which is excellent. I'll show you the difference. So if you see there, you've got the bubble visor, which is really good for the visibility because it's got such a wide aperture. So it's absolutely excellent for visibility, and it's great. Even in the rain, it kind of runs down the side of the visor. And I have found when I use my partner's helmet, the wind noise isn't quite as bad. Whether that's because it's slightly more aerodynamic, not 100% sure. But it is once again, it's a beautiful looking helmet, as all the Bell stuff is. And you know, with Bell and AGV, from the safety point of view, it's past all the EU regulations or all the CE regulations, where you've got the little numbers on the back. So it's absolutely as safe as you can get in a modern day crash helmet. So in terms of looks, excellent. I decided to change because the wind noise was starting to irritate me. So, and I'd been looking at this AGV for quite a while. This colour they've discontinued, and I by chance found it in a local garage. So it's always worth having a look. You can obviously look online, but you'll struggle to get many sizes. I think extra small currently you can get, and extra large. This is medium large, whereas this was large on the Bell. AGV are great that they do in between sizes, which for awkward people like me really helps, because I always find, hence one of the reasons I started this channel, everything doesn't quite fit. So when I happened to find it, I was delighted. The difference is over the Bell. The obvious one is the way the visor shuts. It clips down there at the bottom. It's not a magnet; it's an actual clip, and it just seals shut. And if you compare it to actually an original crash helmet from the time, that's what they were more like. They weren't magnet. They were a button. They had a button that actually closed. And if you see on it as well, you see there's this membrane around the side, and so far that seals really well. So when you're going down the motorway, compared to the Bells, the sound is much better. So it's exceeded all expectations on that so far. They both have the D strap on them, which is kind of the standard for crash helmets. It doesn't have the Nolan clip setting. It's just your normal pull around there and twist threads. If you've been using crash helmets for any period of time, you'll know what that is. Fiberglass shell, as is this Bullitt. The carbon one is a carbon shell casing, ever so slightly lighter. The AGV X3000 is 100 grams lighter than this Bell Bullitt, but in using them in every day, you're not going to notice. It has a little vent along the front that pops out, and there's a little space to put it inside. You kind of strap it down to the inside there. So far, I haven't bothered taking it out. I think I'd lose it, so I might not bother. But that is a bit of ventilation, and the ventilation on the Bell and comparisons are those 4 vents on the front, which again looks really cool, looks really retro. If you look back at Barry Sheen crash helmets and the like of the 70s, that's the kind of thing you've got. Regarding the design, going back to the AGV, it's actually an identical copy of Giacomo Agostini's crash helmet that he had in the 70s in terms of shape. I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, you can see that the chin is ever so slightly cut away there. The reason being for that was when he was racing and he was wearing it and his chin was down on the tank, it allowed him to lie flat. So they've gone straight back to the design of that. In terms of other colours, there's an array of colours online that you can get, and there's also, with the AGV, there's replicas. They're doing Giacomo Agostini replica, Barry Sheen replica, Angel Nieto, and a couple of others. But there's also non-replicas, which I prefer. I don't really go for the replica crash helmet. I like an individual colour standpoint. If I had to choose again, if I was buying 2 new from scratch, it'd be the AGV. It's comfort-wise, it's great as well. They're both very comfortable, but it just fits perfectly. So it's absolutely great crash helmet. I don't regret it at all. I'll just put it on just so you can see what it's like on. One thing to note with pretty much all retro crash helmets, you don't get a bit of a guard under the chin, so you do get a bit cold when it's a winter's day or you're going down the motorway. But you kind of know that when you get a retro crash helmet. And again, it's the D-lock underneath. It's a little bit fiddly with this compared to the Bell, and it just clips under there. And yeah, I think a great looking crash helmet. Would thoroughly recommend it. But as with all crash helmets, if you've got the chance to try it in the shop so you can see your size fitment, absolutely recommend doing that rather than ordering online. You normally you can send it back online, but it's the faff of doing it. If you can go to a dealership, do it. And again, all 3 crash helmets, brilliant. But if I had to choose, I would go with the AGV. And yeah, that's a review of the Bell versus the AGV X3000. Thanks for watching. If you like the channel, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.